Hello, Hippie Mágica here. Welcome to my channel all the way from Barcelona, Spain. And today I'm answering a subscriber's question. This is for Rosa Lilia Solano. She asked, can you teach us how to make powerful intentions for us and for the ones around us? And could you tell us how many times we have to say them and for how long? I wish you the best. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Rosa Lilia. I love this question. I read it last night and I couldn't wait to get up this morning to make this video. So there's so many ways to make intentions, right? To say affirmations and to make them happen. So I'm gonna teach you my most powerful way that I've manifested, and I'm gonna tell you a few stories of my life. I'm gonna start with, when I was, since I can remember, the earliest time, the youngest I've been, that I remember affirming something and then seeing the manifestation. And then I'm gonna work to my most current manifestation technique now, which is pretty similar. I pretty much copied myself in my childhood. But the first story is when I was 15 years old. I didn't know anything about manifesting, about our thoughts, but now at this age, that I've practiced a law of attraction, self-love, and practiced metaphysics, studied it, it's like I've been tracing back my steps and analyzing everything that I've done in my past and why certain things happened. And I remember thinking when I was 15, because I was dating this guy online when I was 15. This guy, this is gonna sound weird, but it's not connected. At least I don't think it's connected to my reality now. But I was dating this guy from Spain online, right? I had no friends. In my world, I recently moved from Mexico, so I was very lonely and, very introverted. I'm still very introverted. So I didn't speak to many people. So I connected with the world online and I felt very free, secure, and I connected with this guy. He was from Spain, and we talked for a while, and we would always fantasize him coming to USA or me going to Spain, but it was never real. It was just talking. And I remember I would visualize at night, just going to Spain and meeting him in person, and just very fantasy, very beautiful, but it was just a dream. I was just daydreaming. And then guess what happened months later? I think it was 4 months later. At 15, I was taking a Spanish course in high school because I didn't want to forget my Spanish. In that year, the Spanish teacher said, we don't really do this often, it hasn't happened in the last few years, but this year we're gonna do a trip to Spain. And I was like, and she said, yeah, it's $2,000, everything's covered, flight, hotel, everything. And so I had one of my best friends in the same classroom as I was, and she told me, if you go, I'll go. And I said, my parents are never going to let me. And she said, well, my dad said that he'll pay for me if you go. And she begged me. She's like, please ask your parents, blah blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. I know they're going to say no. I'm going to another country, and no, but whatever. I just wanted to make her happy, and I called my parents and I'm like, hey, the school is going to Spain, the Spanish class is going to Spain, can I go? My best friend is going, which they knew her. And she was like, how much is it? I'm like, this 2,000. And she was like, my mom was like, okay, well, yes. It was a very simple yes. And I'm like, holy crap. So long story short, I went there, I met him, and it was, and that's it, I met him, and then that relationship is another story. But the point of this is that I visualized, and I didn't want it ego, I wasn't desperate to meet him, but like I wanted to meet him. I was excited. I visualized with all my senses. But like I was just a kid, I was just 15, and that was one of the most powerful manifestations that I did without ever knowing about the law of attraction. And I remember I used everything, I think every day I visualized, because I didn't have many friends, and I was in love with this guy online. And so, when he would tell me, or when we would talk, which was like almost every day, about us traveling in Spain, meeting in Spain, blah, blah, blah in Spain. The mind is a powerful fucking tool. So that's the first story. Let's see, the second story, these are all love stories, oh my gosh. The second story is at 25, I graduated from college. And my last 3 years of college, they were pretty dark. I was depressed. I studied architecture mainly for my parents. They kind of pushed me, and because I went to study art. So I finished the last 3 years kind of like, like a slave almost, because I wasn't passionate about the building systems, the technology of architecture. I just love architecture for the art, for the space, for the philosophy, for the beauty of it, So my last month, or last couple months of my last graduate year, I've had it, like I wasn't getting a job, I was doing interviews, I was being rejected, I was terrified of going into the real world after seeing my classmates, tell stories about how the real world is. It's not at all like architecture school. And I was angry, I was embarrassed, that I wasn't getting a job, and I was seeing that my my classmates were. And at one point I just got angry and pissed, and like something clicked on my mind, and I just told the universe, I'm like, I want to have the best job, the best life in the world, one where everyone is going to be jealous, one where nobody could ever think that it was possible to work in as an architecture student, blah, blah, blah. I just like vented, and I said it with all the feelings, with everything inside of me. And that was that. And then like I think a month later, maybe 2 or maybe less, I don't know, this how do you say, internship opportunity came to the graduate students about doing this design build project in Alaska. So we were gonna build the first ramped earth house in Alaska. Everything was gonna be paid, the flight, the house, the vehicle, the transportation, the gas, everything. And I submitted my application. I convinced one of my friends to do it, and we got in, and everyone was kind of jealous, like it was and now I can say that was probably one of the best experiences I've had in my life. It was like best job experience, even life experience. It was fucking magical. And also before I went to Alaska, I made another big fucking affirmation to the universe. I said, universe, because I was angry, I just felt like I was behind in life, I just felt like, I wasn't living my purpose, I wasn't being happy, So after I manifested, which I didn't really see it as a manifestation until like years later, right? But I remember, looking backwards, before I went to Alaska, I said, God, like because my classmates they were getting married, they had a boyfriend and girlfriends, I was single, and I'm like, God, like not the next boyfriend, I remember exactly how I said it, but I said, I want my future boyfriend to be free like me. I want him not to get married to me. I don't want him to be like any guy here on earth that just wants to get married, have kids. I want this person to be as free as it can be. I want him to love me, in totality, but I want him to be free, and I want him to want me to be free. I don't want us to be tied at all. And I want us to have a free love, a free love. And I just vented, and I meant it with all my heart to the universe. Like I just said it, like with all my heart. Like you can I don't know if you can feel it through the video, but like right now I can feel my heart like bursting, you know, with all this energy, and I said it with this energy. And then guess what happened in fucking Alaska? With that exact same feeling, almost with the same words, it happened. This guy, I fell in love with this hippie guy in Alaska, and he was the most free person I had ever known in my life. He inspired me, he changed me, he transformed me. I fell in love head to toe over him. And I even told him, I want to marry you, I want to be with you, you're the love of my life. Because he was magical. Like, he didn't have a degree, he didn't go to college after school. He was such creative mind, such creative soul, free spirit. He was ageless, and I love that about him. You know, I love that. And you know, we went out, we dated during my internship in Alaska, and he was just there for the project as well. But then guess what, like, it kind of turned the other way. He was too free that he wasn't attached to me, so he let me go and he moved on after I went back to Kansas, because I was living in Kansas with my parents that time. So I had to go back because I got a real job back in Kansas. So I had to go 1 month back, and he stayed in Alaska, and like I just fell in a deep depression, and that depression continued for 2 years at least, if not almost 3. It's kind of embarrassing, but yes, and I forgive myself for that. But yeah, you see the pattern here. Like I say it with all my heart, with like there's a ton of feeling, I fill my body with all this energy, or this energy is already there, and I would make these intentions when the energy is already pouring from my body. It's like, I've had enough, you know, enough is enough, this is what I want. Well, that's the last example that I just gave, versus the first example. It's like I was filled with love, filled with goodness, you know, and I visualized with that. And then this last example that I'm going to give you, it's more sophisticated, more, you know, like I know what I'm doing, and I'm more confident, and I say it with a conscious mind, knowing that I know this is going to manifest. I don't just vent things out of anger or whatever. So I wrote this list. Actually, I wrote 2 letters. The first one I wrote right before I went on my amazing hitchhiking journey in Europe last summer. So like weeks before, or maybe a month, I wrote a letter to the universe. Like, I just wrote a bunch of things that I wanted to manifest in these 3 months in Europe last summer. And I just wrote with all my heart. I was just pouring my heart in this letter, and I fucking burnt it. I remember I said, what did I say? Okay, I don't have it because I burnt it. I literally gave it to the universe. But I wrote, you know, I want to have the fucking best summer of my life. I want to make $10,000. I want to make the most amazing friends. I want to manifest a laptop. I want to do a free spiritual retreat. I want to. And at the very end, I was very scared to write this, but at the very end I wrote, I want to manifest the love of my life during this trip. And then after I wrote that, on the other side of the page, I wrote the qualities of the love of my life. You know, I want him to be successful. I want him to be equally balanced and spiritual, and the practical, because I've had partners where they're way too freaking spiritual and they don't have a sense of reality, and I've had 2 practical people, they have no sense of spirituality. I'm like, I want this person to be, you know, to love me the way I am, to love this about me, this, everything. And you know, it's just like the perfect soulmate. And then I burnt it. And then, you know, I just forgot it. I literally forgot about that fucking letter until the trip ended. And then I looked backwards at the trip and I connected the dots. I'm like, wait, didn't I write this before I came to the trip? So, you know, that's another example. So you see the pattern. I fucking feel it. If you don't have the feeling, it is not going to manifest. I can assure this. Like, you need to feel. You need to fill your body with energy, as much energy of anything. Like, I want to say love, you know, because everybody says love, but from my experience, I filled myself with with feelings of anger, with feelings of, or maybe it wasn't anger, I don't know, but it was a powerful feeling, you know, it's like of power, of anger, sure, of excitement, of, you know, it's just like, I've had enough, this is what I want, you know, like that energy. But with the letter that I wrote it with that kind of energy mixed with excitement and with magic. And yes, most of the things manifested. I had a free retreat, which cost $2,000. I went to it free. I was invited. It was a sacred geometry tour. And then obviously I met my specific person. I manifested the free laptop, the best laptop out there. I manifested money, a lot of money. Even I manifested my van. Well, I bought the van without money. I manifested friends. I manifested, yes, the most magical, adventurous trip of my life. Lastly, another letter. This letter I wrote last October, like a week before my specific person arrived in the USA. And it's right here. I have to be honest, I feel like not all of these had that energy that I describe in the, you know, in my past exercise. And I acknowledge it, but you know, I was trying to cheat. I was like trying to just write, and hopefully they would manifest. But I can tell the ones that it didn't have that sense of feeling of power, of determination. But the ones that did manifest were the ones that I was filled with love, filled with that energy that I'm describing, and that you guys are hopefully all receiving through these videos. But here I'll give you some examples of what I wrote and what that manifested, like almost to the T. So one of them that manifested is my specific person and I are going to have the most epic, magical, amazing, transformational, romantic, and fun road trip of our lives, you know, starting the first day that he arrives in Kansas. Because we went from Kansas and we drove my van all the way to freaking Mexico and then up to San Diego. So we crossed the entire West Coast. It was amazing. And we literally had all those moments. It was transformational. It was amazing. It was romantic. It was fun. It was magical. It was epic. Everything from the first day until the last day in USA. And then what I started doing is, you see, I start writing dates, and then I write what I want to happen on that date. So I'm specific. And then I wrote on December 4th, which is my birthday, I wrote, my specific person proposes to marry me in the most magical, creative, romantic way possible. And I said yes. And it wasn't on December 4th, but it was like mid-December that he did propose to marry me. So I manifested that. And then January 8th, my specific person decides to never December 25th, my specific person and I spent our first Christmas and New Year's together. So, and that's December 25th, right? So he was supposed to leave December 8th. He bought a ticket December 8th. But at the last minute, like a couple weeks before that date, he changed the flight. He wanted to stay longer. And then, obviously, that manifested, right? And then, also I have here January 8th, not knowing anything, not knowing that he was going to leave December 8th, because he told me on the first day that he arrived, oh, by the way, I'm leaving December 8th. But January 8th, I wrote, on January 8th, my specific person decides to never separate from me again. And guess what? I think it was the first week, or the last week of December, he told me, or he asked me, do you want to come back with me to Barcelona? And I seriously started to cry. He was surprised that I was so emotional. And I was emotional because I remember what I wrote in that letter. And on January 10th, we flew back to Spain. So it's pretty close to January 8th. And let's see. And that's it. So everything that had to deal with him manifested, and the other stuff didn't. But it's okay, because obviously I wasn't feeling it that strong. So you see the pattern, you see what I did, you see. It's better for me to tell stories so you guys can make your own dots, right? Instead of me trying to tell you very technical. So it's about the feeling. That's number one. You know, I love this man. Like, I seriously wanted everything, and I wrote it down, and that transmitted, and then I kept the letter because I wanted to see if they would manifest. And it's so cool. And I showed my specific person when we got to Barcelona. I'm like, look at what happened. Like, look at and I, you know, he's spiritual, he believes in manifestation, so he didn't take it weird that I did this. He was flattered. But he couldn't believe it. He was like, wow, like, you wrote this, and these things actually happened. And yeah, I know this is a kind of a long video, but I really want you guys to manifest, and I want you guys to manifest the right way. And feeling is the most important thing. If you guys don't feel it, strong, like, your feeling is the magnet. Imagine your vision or your dream is the metal, and then your heart, your body, your feeling is the magnet. So the stronger it is, the stronger the pull will be. And couple that with visions, you just create magic. So I hope this was helpful. I love sharing my manifestation story. They just light me up. I feel like I'm on cloud 9. And yeah, I just hope this helped you, or you maybe help somebody else if you share the video. And let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if you guys use these techniques, and write it below. I would love to hear about your manifestation stories. Okay guys, well, enjoy this quarantine time. I'm seriously enjoying every freaking minute, every second of this quarantine. Everything's so peaceful. The energy is so calm, and I'm spending so much time working on me, on my visions, on my goals, on being a better version of myself, on loving myself, on forgiving, on healing blocks, healing limiting beliefs, so I can get past those and start feeling, you know, the abundance, the excitement of what I want to manifest. Okay guys, well, let me know if you guys want me to do any other types of videos. I'll be more than glad to. Okay, until next